Hey, have you ever had a candidate suddenly go cold halfway through your process? Yeah, I have too. It's not only that they don't want it's not really that they don't want the franchise. It's that they don't trust your process. And in the end, they don't trust you because of that. Today, I'm going to show you why that happens. I'm going to show you how to restore confidence without adding pressure. Let's look at how you can close more deals and just overall strengthen your reputation all along the way through your sales process. Stick around.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profits Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Schin.
Hey, I hope that you're a subscriber. If you're not, be sure to subscribe. But I'm Don Schin. I'm the host of the podcast Franchise Pitfalls and Profits, where we really dive into areas that most people aren't talking about, nobody's teaching, and I bring them to you, and I bring them to you in a way that you can use these materials, you can use these strategies right away to change your results tomorrow. So let's start by asking a question here today when we're talking about why people are not trusting your process. I want to give you, a broker, an edge. And I want to start out by asking a simple question. How many times have you had a candidate who started strong? They seemed excited, engaged, really ready to move forward. They were moving through your steps pretty quickly. And then suddenly they pulled back. A lot of times they ghosted, or maybe they delayed, they canceled some appointments with you, that kind of thing. And you just know overall they are starting to second guess everything that you're talking about, and you're sitting there thinking, what just happened? Okay. I've seen it countless times, and I can tell you this isn't usually about the franchise itself. Most of the time it's usually about the process that you're taking them through. Candidates are naturally skeptical, and they also haven't done something like this ever before. So that compounds their skepticism and their fears. Candidates just don't trust your process. And when skepticism creeps in like that, deals are going to stall and deals are going to die. And that's what we're unpacking today, why candidates lose trust midstream. And more importantly, how can you as the broker restore confidence, keep the process moving, and honestly differentiate yourself and position yourself? We say this all the time, but I'm going to talk about how you can really set yourself up, frame yourself up, position yourself up as a trusted advisor, not just somebody looking to make the next deal, not just another salesperson. So, why don't they trust the process? Well, there are three big reasons that start people doubting. One is they get overwhelmed. I talk a lot about, and in our Franchise Sales Accelerator course, the fsacourse.com, you'll see a chart where I talk about their interest levels and time. And I talk about the pace with which you give them information. Because what's happening is they start to get excited, but then they start to get overloaded. You send them a whole bunch of stuff, and suddenly there are calls, there's FDDs, there's numbers, you're speeding them through the process. Hey, let me show you these brands. Hey, let me introduce you to those people. It's just all too much, and they start to panic. So overwhelmed candidates is one big reason they start to doubt the whole process. Second thing is pressure. I'm a big believer. I teach it. It is true that time will kill deals. But if you do this the right way on the front end of your sales processes, they will move quickly through the very important times, because they will be a prepared buyer, and you'll still close them in a reasonable amount of time. But what most brokers and franchise developers are doing is they put pressure on the candidates. They're pushing for speed. And that type of pressure just creates this sense of mistrust. And they really start to question your motives. Again, you said, "Oh, I'm a third party. I'm like an outside set of eyes and ears, and I'm your trusted advisor." Yeah, well, they know you make money somehow, and they begin to distrust your motives if they feel pressured to move forward too quickly or at a pace that they're not ready for. So the first one was they're overwhelmed. That's why this is happening. The second one is they're feeling pressure and start to question your why in all of this. And then the last one is just uncertainty. They're asking themselves, am I really getting the full story? Because again, they'll get a whiff of being sold something, and that's going to have them at a minimum put up their shields, or at least really start to shut down and be skeptical about what you're telling them and everything you're telling them. The other part of uncertainty, and I've been talking about this in my podcasts, and I have been talking about this in some of my webinars recently, and it's that they have uncertainty about themselves as well. And this is why slowing down, giving them the right tools, giving them the right information. I've got in a recent webinar that we just did, we talked about a spouse and candidate chart that's going to help both of their needs and questions come out and be answered, just as a tool that you can use. But at the end of the day, they're sometimes uncertain about their own ability to do this. So here's the kicker. Again, it usually isn't about the franchise brand itself. It's about their confidence in themselves, their confidence in you as their guide over the journey, over the course of time that they're working with you. So how do we fix this? How do we restore trust without pressure, without turning up the thermostat, without turning up the heat? Well, I want to share with you 3 strategies that I have developed that I know is going to help you today. One of them is to reframe their doubts. Instead of considering everything an objection, let's look at it as an opportunity if it's framed right, and help them with that doubt. So you might want to say something like, every strong candidate feels this at some point. In other words, you're humanizing it or normalizing it for them, so they don't just feel like they're the only ones that feel like this. So you tell them it just means that you're digging in with the right questions. It just lowers the pressure and it gives them permission to be fearful. I think reframing their doubts is really important. A second thing is that a second thing you can do to fix this without pressure is to give the process some context. Don't just walk them through the steps. And yeah, I'm a big proponent of setting up the next call before you hang up on the one you're on, but show them why these steps are important. In the early stages, I always introduced the whole process to people, but I didn't expect them to remember it all. So when I was in each and every step, I'm taking the time to say, here's what we're going to do next, and here's why. And what this does is it shows them that there's value in each step. If you're the broker in particular, it shows you your value and why they should show up and why it's important for them to keep working with you. They'll see it's not just busy work is what's important. It validates that you can indeed help them, that you indeed are seeing the business through their eyes, and what's most important to them. And when people understand that why, they'll understand your process and they'll trust your process more. And then the third way to fix this is to be the translator. Remember that candidates don't speak franchise. They need you to break things down into normal human language, translate the phrases, the terms, the jargon. Clarify these terms. Make the complex seem simple. You being their guide, not just a deal maker, not just a salesman, is so, so, so important. So, here's why I sometimes phrase it: the broker's edge comes in. When you help the candidate feel safe in the process, you're not just a deal closer. You are building your own reputation. You are building up your own value in their eyes. It's going to help them. And in the long run, it's going to help them give you referrals as well. So ask yourself, do my candidates see me as someone chasing a fee, chasing a commission, or do they see me as someone who is helping them make a life-changing decision and helping them do that the right way with their best interests in mind and not mine as the broker? Be honest with yourself on this one. Maybe you think you are, but you need to evaluate your process, how you handle each call, how you're building that relationship, how you're framing things up. You need to really look at all of that so that you indeed can tell whether you are projecting and they're perceiving you as the trusted advisor or not. Because the truth is, your influence doesn't end when they sign. If they feel pressure or misled, honestly, it comes back to you in validation. And that's probably the last thing you really want to happen in this whole situation. But if they feel supported by you, if they feel cared for, if they feel heard, if they feel understood, if they feel genuinely guided, then you become the best marketing you could ever do. They validate stronger, they grow the brand, and they're going to tell others what working with you was all about, why you were so different than anyone else they maybe have ever worked with before. So here's my challenge for you this week. I never, I do some chaplain work in professional sports. I just always like to leave people with a challenge. So here's your challenge for the week. The next time you are sensing or you're actually seeing a candidate slowing down, or you're sensing some skepticism, don't panic and don't pressure. Don't push them. Step back, literally literally or figuratively. Step back. Normalize their doubts. Make it human. Make them feel understood and heard. Explain why what they're going through isn't just passing time. It's not just busy work to do something. Explain the why and the importance of each one of the steps in your process, and then translate that process into a way that's just going to build up their confidence in you and then ultimately in the process as well. Do this and you won't just move deals forward, which is your end goal. You're actually going to be the standout broker. You're going to be a broker that is above all the others. You're going to be a broker that can be trusted. And trust is the currency that keeps paying long after the ink on the FA is dry. Because at the end of the day, the best brokers aren't deal makers, they're guides. They're trusted advisors. And that's the broker's edge. So I hope you got value out of today. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, please like, please leave comments, please pass this on, forward it to other people that you know could benefit from it. But lastly, two quick things. One is that my podcast now has over 6,000 subscribers. Reach out to me if you are in this business and you'd like to be in front of those 6,000 subscribers. And then lastly, I would just like to leave you with what drives me every day. What is my why? I really believe that franchising isn't about the systems. It's not just about deal making and sales. I think it is about the person. Hopefully you hear that in all the things I'm teaching and training and talking about, because the person has a family. And when that person opens that franchise, they employ people, and those employees have families. And overall, franchise owners are typically big and engagers with their communities. And so whole communities are impacted when a franchise opens. So there's so much more of a ripple effect on the other side of the franchise agreement signature. So to me, it's about helping people into business ownership, helping build those businesses and those lives and those communities, and doing it the right way. Because I think when we equip people with the right foundations, I believe we're not just building businesses, we're building legacies. I know for me, just like King David in the book of Acts in the Bible, he said that my purpose is to serve well in my generation. That's how I feel. That's what I embrace. I'm creating impact for my grandchildren, but I also want to leave a legacy that impacts my grandchildren's grandchildren. And again, always doing it for the glory of our Creator and God. Thanks very much for listening. Hope I see you next time.